I finally picked up lifting 2 weeks ago after I finished my baseball season. I decided to start tracking my macros, but I didn't have a set goal. One day I'd hit 3,000, the next day I'd hit 1,800. I'd feel super bloated one day, and then I'd feel super weak the next. What I didn't realize is how important not only just tracking them, but setting an actual goal and sticking to it is. How do you expect to grow muscle, to add something onto yourself, if you're not giving yourself a surplus? This is why it's so important to be in a calorie surplus if you want to be gaining muscle, whether you're trying to lean bulk where you're only eating a few hundred extra calories a day, or you're trying to do a more aggressive bulk where you're trying to eat 400, 500, 600 extra calories per day. If you don't track your calories and your macros, you're truly in the dark about all of this stuff. And it's not as hard as you think. I had a limiting belief before where I didn't want to track them because I thought it would be too difficult, it would be way too annoying. But I'm going to explain it to you on how to track your macros, on everything you need to know, as well as how to set an actual goal. Well, you probably know that everybody's maintenance calories are a lot different. This is because calories are simply the energy it takes you to regulate your temperature, to breathe, to fidget, to do chores, and of course, physical activity. And one thing you probably don't know is that physical activity only represents about 20 to 30% of your usage of calories. Meaning, if you were to just sit around, you would still need a decent amount of calories just to survive. And because everybody's different, we can use a custom calculator to determine what are your actual maintenance calories, to where if you ate this many calories every single day, you would stay at the same weight before we can really set a goal of cutting, lean bulking, dirty bulking, all that. So I'll link one down in the description. Just enter all your information in. There are a bunch of different types of calculators, but they're all pretty similar. And I'm going to explain how you can get more precise with these calculators in just one bet. So click the link in the description. Go through that calculator. You can figure out your maintenance calories to the accuracy of a few hundred. Once you fill this out, we'll also show you a certain amount of calories for how much you want to lose per week, or if you click the drop-down link underneath those calories, you can also see how many calories you want to gain or consume to gain a certain amount of weight per week. So in 1 pound of fat, there is 3,500 calories, roughly speaking. Meaning, if you eat an extra 500 calories per day over 7 days, you're going to gain about 1 pound per week. Now this is fat, so and if you do gain 1 pound per week, it's not necessarily going to be fat. It'll be a little bit, but this is just the common measurement. So it's about an extra 500 calories per day, or minus 500 calories per day is the difference of 1 pound per week. Once you've figured out what your goal is going to be, you also want to set the right macronutrients. These aren't super hard to hit. I find myself hitting my protein goal is pretty simple. You want to have typically about 0.18 to 1 pound, 1 gram per pound of body weight, very common metric. You also want to have about 30% of your calories to be fats. These are crucial for hormones and help you with building muscle. And so you have this goal, you have these macronutrients, you have these calories you want to hit, but how do you actually track them? Well, what you aren't going to do is get a piece of paper and a pen and track everything calorie by calorie, read the instruction label, write down all the macronutrients, tally it up at the end of the day, see if you hit your goal. Because there's a better way to do it. And I went through a couple different apps before I found the single best one. It allows you to track recent foods, track them with a barcode, track your weight, which is going to be important for what we're going to explain in just 1 second. But also, it's free. There's no paywall. You don't have to access a basic feature for $14 a month. That is My Net Diary. I'll link it also in the description. It's available for Android as well as Apple. So it's good. Go get it. Create an account. And with those two things, you can start consistently tracking your macronutrients. And you can consistently see if you're reaching your goal by logging your weight each day. What you're going to want to do is pick a consistent time, whether that's right in the morning after you just use the bathroom, or maybe that's right after the gym, or right when you get home from work. It doesn't really matter. It just has to be a consistent time, because you can imagine these times, if you just ate dinner, it's probably different than if you just woke up, right? Full stomach or water weight, all that. So just pick a consistent time and weigh yourself every day or every 2 days or so for about a week. And once you get that, you can reevaluate and see if you're hitting your goal. Because these calculators are accurate, but they aren't totally accurate to the point where they're going to get your exact metabolic rate down to the calorie. So if your goal is to gain 1 pound of body weight per week, and you just did everything, you tracked it, you hit all of your calories each day, and you only get to 0.6 or 0.75, then you can use the calculation we did earlier where it's 500 extra calories per day or 500 negative calories per day. There's an extra pound difference per week. You can use that and you can add or subtract to get to where you want to be. And lastly, before I close off, say some important things is, for one, what if you're having mom's cooking and you can't actually weigh out the chicken and the rice and the broccoli, or maybe it's tuna casserole, you don't know what's in there. You can either, one, log the generic version of the food, which usually does pretty well, or number two, you can actually find the recipe online or find it from your mom's cookbook and log each macronutrient and just figure it out. Because once you do that, you can write it down somewhere and it becomes a lot easier to track. You don't have to do all the calculations every single time. You just have to do it once. And another thing to note is if you're a runner or probably a biker, you're going to burn a lot more calories than the average person. For an 8-minute mile, for example, for each 8-minute mile you run, it's about 100 to 150 calories, depending on the person, burned. So runners, if you're going to run 5 miles a day, maybe you're going to have to adjust it and add an extra 500 calories per day to meet your bulking goal or your cutting goal or whatever it happens to be. Although you probably already put that into the calculator when I asked you for your physical activity rate. I hope you found that video helpful. It was a little bit scattered, but I'll see you in the next one. Got better things coming.